A young man was walking through a supermarket to pick a few things when he noticed an old lady following him around. Thinking nothing of it, he ignored her and continued on. Finally, he went to the checkout line, but she got in front of him. "Pardon me," she said. "I'm sorry if my staring at you has made you feel uncomfortable. It's just that you look just like my son, who just died recently." "I'm very sorry," replied the young man. "Is there anything I can do for you?" "Yes," she said. "As I'm leaving, can you say, 'Goodbye, Mother'? It would make me feel so much better." "Sure," answered the young man. As the old woman was leaving, he called out, "Goodbye, Mother." As he stepped up to the checkout counter, he saw that his total was $127.50. "How can that be?" he asked. "I only purchased a few things." "Your mother said that you would pay for her," said the clerk. An Australian, a New Zealander, and a South African were sitting together at a local pub, enjoying a round of cold beers after a rugby match. Out of nowhere, the South African chugs the rest of his drink, unclasps an incredibly expensive, diamond-encrusted luxury watch from his wrist, tosses it into the air, pulls out a pistol, and blasts it to absolute smithereens. He shrugs coolly and says, "In South Africa, we have so many diamonds that we never have to wear the same luxury watch twice." The New Zealander, determined not to be outdone by a South African, finishes off his pint, flings the heavy glass cup high into the air, draws his own weapon, and completely shatters the glass midair. He smirks and says, "Sweet bro. In New Zealand, we have so much natural sand to manufacture glass that we don't ever need to drink from the same cup twice." The Australian sits in silence for a moment, finishes his beer, and sets the glass down. He then calmly pulls out his own gun, turns to his left, and shoots the New Zealander dead on the spot. The bartender, completely horrified, screams, "What the hell did you just do?" The Aussie pockets his gun, shrugs, and replies, "Mate, in Australia, we have so many Kiwis that we never have to drink with the same one twice." A school teacher was trying to test a young boy's basic addition skills during a morning math lesson. "Johnny, look at me and listen closely," the teacher said. "If I were to give you 2 cats, and then I gave you another 2 cats, and finally another 2 cats, how many cats would you have in total?" Johnny didn't even hesitate. "7, sir." The teacher frowned, assuming the boy just wasn't paying attention. "No, Johnny, let's try that again. Listen very carefully this time. If I hand you 2 cats, and then another 2 cats, and then 2 more, how many do you have?" Johnny blinked and repeated confidently, 7. Frustrated, the teacher decided to change his strategy to see if it was a conceptual issue. "Okay, let's try a different example. If I gave you 2 apples, and then another 2 apples, and then another 2 apples, how many apples would you have?" Johnny smiled brightly. 6, sir. "Excellent. Good job." The teacher sighed with relief. "Now, applying that exact same logic, if I give you 2 cats, and another 2 cats, and another 2 cats, how many cats do you have?" Johnny stomped his foot and yelled, 7. The teacher's face turned bright red with anger. 7. Where on earth are you getting 7 from? Johnny threw his hands up in the air and shouted back, "Because I already have a pet cat living at my house." Little Johnny walked into the living room, stood right in front of his father, and proudly announced, "Dad, I've made up my mind. I'm officially getting married." His father put down his newspaper and smiled warmly. "Wow, son, that's fantastic news. Do you have a special little girl from school lined up already?" "Yeah." Johnny nodded enthusiastically. "I'm marrying Grandma. She makes the absolute best chocolate chip cookies. She completely adores me, and she tells the most amazing bedtime stories every single night." His father's smile immediately vanished, replaced by an incredibly awkward look. Unfortunately, son, you can't actually marry her." Johnny frowned, completely confused. "What? Why not? What's the big problem, Dad?" "Well, because she's my mother," the dad explained gently, trying to use logic. "And you are absolutely not allowed to marry my mother, Johnny." Johnny crossed his arms, looked his dad straight in the eye, and replied, "Why not? You married mine." A man was stumbling his way down an empty sidewalk at 3 o'clock in the morning when a police cruiser suddenly pulled up next to him. An officer stepped out, blinding him with a flashlight. "All right, sir. Hold it right there," the cop said suspiciously. "Where exactly do you think you're heading at this hour of the night?" The man blinked into the light, stood as straight as he possibly could, and answered, "Officer, I am currently on my way to attend an urgent, highly detailed medical lecture regarding chronic alcohol abuse, the destructive effects of nicotine on the respiratory system, and the physical toll of extreme sleep deprivation." The police officer stared at him, thoroughly bewildered by the incredibly academic response. "Are you serious? Who on earth is conducting an advanced medical seminar like that at 3 in the morning?" The man let out a long, deeply terrified sigh and muttered, "That would be my wife." An Aussie bloke was sitting quietly at a pub, nursing a cold beer, when he decided to spark up some conversation. He leaned over to the absolute mountain of a man sitting on the stool next to him and smirked. "Hey, mate, you want to hear a hilarious Kiwi joke?" The big guy didn't laugh. He slowly turned around, looked down at the Aussie, and said in a deep, booming voice, "Well, listen here, mate. Before you open your mouth, there are a few things you should probably know. I'm 1.9 meters tall, I weigh 125 kilos, and I used to play as a forward for the New Zealand All Blacks." The giant pointed down the bar. "The bloke sitting next to me is 1.85 meters, weighs 115 kilos, and he's an ex-All Blacklock. And the monster sitting next to him is 2 meters tall, weighs 120 kilos, and is a current starting second rower for the All Blacks." The big guy crossed his massive arms, glared at the Aussie, and growled, "Now, tell me, mate, do you still want to tell that Kiwi joke in here?" The Aussie didn't even flinch. He took a calm sip of his beer, shook his head, and replied, "Nah, not really. Not if I'm going to have to explain it 3 different times." A Kiwi walks into the local unemployment office, marches straight up to the counter, and says, "Hi, I hate being on welfare. I'd really rather have a job." The clerk behind the Centerlink desk says, "Your timing is excellent. We just got a job opening from a very wealthy old man who wants a chauffeur/bodyguard for his nymphomaniac daughter. You'll have to drive around in his Mercedes, but he'll supply all of your clothes. Because of the long hours, meals will be provided. You'll be expected to escort her on her overseas holiday trips. You'll have a 2-bedroom apartment above the garage. The starting salary is $200,000 a year." The Kiwi says, "You're bullshitting me." The Centerlink officer says, "Yeah, well, you started it."